Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the ordinary meeting of the Wellington Shire Council, the first one for the year on the 5th of February. Members of the public gallery should note that Council records and publishes Council's meetings via YouTube to enhance the accessibility of Council's meetings to the broader Wellington community. These recordings are also archived and may be published on Council's website for viewing by the public or used for publicity or information purposes. At the appropriate time during the meeting, members of the gallery may address the Council, at which times image, comments or submissions will be recorded. Members of the public who are not in attendance at the Council meeting but who wish to communicate with the Council via the webcasting chat room should lodge their questions or comments early in the meeting to ensure that their submissions can be dealt with at the end of the meeting. Please, should gallery visitors and councillors ensure that mobile phones and other electronic devices are turned off or in silent mode for the duration of the meeting. And if we could just stand, please, for the acknowledgement and the prayer. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land, the Gunai-Kurnai people, and pay respects to their elders, past and present. Almighty God, we ask your blessing upon the Wellington Shire Council, its councillors, officers, staff and their families. We pray for your guidance in our decisions so that the true good of the Wellington Shire Council may result to the benefit of all residents and community groups. Amen. Have any apologies, CEO?
Yes, Councillor McCubbin, Mayor.
Thank you. Any declarations of conflict of interest? None so recorded. Item A4, confirmation of minutes of the previous council meeting. Councillor Bye.
Thanks, Mayor. I move the Council adopt the minutes and resolutions of the ordinary council meeting, the 18th of December 2018.
Do we have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Hull. Is that motion carried? Is that motion opposed? If not, the motion is carried. Councillor Bye. Is there any business arising from the previous minutes? Any late items? Moving on to item A7, notice of motion. So item A7, notice of motion. Councillor Hull.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I'm going to move that the Mayor write to Daniel Daniels, the Premier of Victoria, and Jacqueline Symes, the Minister for Agriculture, requesting 1. An immediate escalation of the status of the drought in Wellington Shire from moderate to severe, as outlined in the Victorian Drought Preparedness and Response Plan, and in doing so provide freight and fodder subsidies and other forms of financial assistance to our farming community. And 2, that Regional Development Victoria undertake research to better understand the impact of the drought on the retail, commercial and hospitality sectors of Wellington Shire, and the findings we use to develop programs to support these sectors of the economy.
Seconder for that motion, Councillor Crosley. Is that motion opposed? If not, the motion is carried. Councillor Hull.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Mayor, back in late July or early August 2018, Councillor Byer with the CEO attended a meeting in Bairnsdale with the then Minister for Agriculture, Charlotte Pulford. And it was in the early stages of the government getting involved with the drought in Wellington and East Gippsland, even though the drought in New South Wales, their government had stood up and got going and put out $1 billion to aid and assist the rural communities. In her conversation with us, or debate, whatever you want to call it, the government considered that the drought was very low-key, stage 1, depending on which document you read. On the 13th of September, with Councillor Ripper, the CEO and our General Manager of Development, John Webster, we again met with Minister Pulford in Bairnsdale. And the day before, she'd gone on ABC radio in a broadcast to say that our drought was only 3 days old. And the credibility of the government, the Minister and the advisors was not very well accepted by the rural community, who pointed out that the drought was at least 19 months old, not 3. But it was considered moderate in relation to what the government was prepared to aid and assist. And here again, the comparison with the 2 states at this stage, Queensland has stepped in to look after their people as well. But there was very little assistance coming our way out of $5 million all-up allocation to aid and assist in various forms. Since then, of course, as we know, nearly 5 months later, we're no further out of the drought, and in fact, things have escalated. It's pretty bad, pretty dire. And that's why I'm asking that we ask the government to lift the category up to severe. In some of their documents, it has it as number 3, which is as high as it will go. Our rural area, our rural farmers, and I'll deal with the second part in a second, now are running out of water. A lot of them have unloaded their stock, particularly their breeders. The fact that the ability to meet demands for food are becoming very strong, trying to access any fodder they can to feed their stocks. And we've got various community organisations running around on the need for feed, but because of the dry over and the poor cropping over the state of Victoria, there's not much tucker around to come, and grain has gone through the roof. So the impact down here, and we are the only 2 shires here in East Gippsland that are drought declared. So what we need to do is ask the Premier and the Minister to come down and talk to us. And I'm not talking at a public meeting. I would like a roundtable discussion so that we can lay the issues on behalf of our people, and I would presume that we would invite East Gippsland councillors and the CEO to come and join us so that we can really push home the need for the government to have a rethink about which way they can throw some more help. Last week, as most of you don't know, the government had allowed $375 for every school child in Wellington Shire and East Gippsland to help offset the cost of books and clothing for school. Well, the impact that has had on the rural community is tremendous, because there's those who've got 2 or 3 kids at school, there's up to $1,000 that they don't have to find. And that has lifted their spirits so much just with that. The attitude that we're hearing in the paper and having pushed is that for the shire rates to be looked at for a subsidy, and this is, I suppose, pinched from what's happening in the north of us. Along the way, there's lots of other little avenues that we can look at. Right now, through federal funding, the potable water, where homes have run out of water, are now being organised to make sure that people have clean drinking water and water to cook their food and that with, and that has been well accepted. The rural community is not looking for charity, they're looking for help. And I think most of us know that whenever times get tough in past times, it's been the rural community that have come out and been of great support. And it's time that we gave them stronger support back and help them until they get through this particular time of need. On part 2, the flow through from the rural area not spending is affecting our towns. We don't know exactly how much or how hard, but we do know anecdotally from the number of empty shops that is now starting to appear in all our towns. We know from stores that no longer having their staff full time, they're now rostering them on for 3 hours or 4 hours because of the fact that the cash flow is not helping to survive. Probably down the track, we're going to be asked by the commercial, retail and hospitality sector that because of the experiences that they're having, they would like some sort of assistance to help them get through. We need to be ready, keep everybody well viable and in survival mode now, so when the time comes good again we all know after a drought times do come good. We just don't know when the drought's going to happen. But for Wellington to be a strong, viable council again when that time does happen, we need to do the protection now. And that's why I think I'd like to see the Premier come down, which you probably can get the train to Traralgon and we'll pick him up and bring him down. With Jacqueline Symes, if she comes, I can assure you that we'll put on morning tea or afternoon tea, but it'll probably only be dry biscuits. So, Mr Mayor, I would exhort you please to carry out the thoughts and the needs of our people to those two names up there on the board.
Thanks, Councillor Hole. Look, given the importance and criticality of this issue, I think it's a matter for more discussion. Would any other councillors like to speak to this issue? Councillor Bai.
Thanks, Mayor. I'd like to support Councillor Hole on this motion and add a few more items. I'm 47 years old, been in the area my whole life, and I drove down a long weekend down to Lakes Entrance. It's the first time on the back way from Sale through to Bensdale that, as far as you could see, I couldn't see any livestock. It was only when I got close to Bensdale I could actually see some livestock that were actually in the paddocks. And I've never seen that before. The grounds that would have had livestock on them are now just bare dirt. So there is nothing there. So it rains, fantastic, the drought's broken. Where are we going to get the livestock from? There's bigger issues than just the drought breaking. The farmers that have managed to feed the livestock they have now have other issues. The cost of feed, it's horrific, and also to be able to get that feed. We haven't had any subsidies in Victoria. Whether that will help now, I don't know, it might be too late, but it can probably help. The water levels, as Councillor Hole touched on, with the generosity of the Commonwealth Government, we have some subsidies to go to potable water. The other problems we have is rivers drying up. Farmers that used to access for their stock for water, their dams are well and truly dried up. They have no water even in some of the rivers they could go and cart from. Farmers are doing up to 4 trips a day currently out of those rivers that have just dried up. Now they have to go further to keep their stock watered and alive. As we said, the broader farming community is starting to get affected. It's not just farmers. It's the retail businesses that support those farmers. And our general shops, as Councillor Hole has said, a lot of those shops are actually closing or having to make a lot of staff redundant. So it's a far broader issue than just the general farming community. You look at Glen Maggie Weir, a lot of farmers are on down to their last 1 or 2, maybe 3 waterings. Glen Maggie Weir is down to 42% now and is decreasing rapidly. Back in 72, 73, when you speak to a lot of the old farmers, they say that was the worst drought they've ever been through in this area. They now say this is the worst drought. So it's interesting when they go and look at their records, what rainfall we've had and where we are situated now compared to the 72, 73 drought, and they say this is now the worst. So I think there's a lot more that is going to come from this drought, and the farming community needs a lot of help. As we said, we don't want handouts, we just want the communities to actually survive. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Biden. I'd like to speak to this motion. Could I just say, in closing, I had the opportunity early in the piece to spend some time down in the Gifford area with one of the locals down there. We drove around and just simply watched the topsoil blow off the paddock. Merriman's Creek is now dry, and we're likely to then see, should we get rain, the impact of the fires and then impacting on the quality of the water that will flow into Merriman's Creek. The graph that I've got in my hand shows parts of Wellington and East Gippsland showing the lowest rainfall on record. This situation is really critical. Our farming community and all of our community is incredibly resilient, stoic, and in fact gets on with the job and rarely asks for help. But we're at a time now where we need them to put their hands up. We don't need to lose farmers as a result of this extraordinary set of circumstances. And so we need the state government to work with us I'm not going to take the position of looking for political point scoring with the state government. We need them on board. We need their assistance. We need to look at on-farm infrastructure to deal with the water issues that we've got. We've got great people here in the Shire who are willing, able and committed to help, and the farming community needs to keep that in mind. Come to us and talk to our people. I know in that tour around the Gifford area, the farmer I spoke to, I said, well, have you contacted us? And he said, well, we did years ago and didn't get a great result. I said, well, come back to us now. We've got great people here to look after you. We'll do the best we can, but we need the state government to get on board. And in closing, I met with Don Petty, as did Councillor Crosley, when the Lions Need for Feed convoy came up here. And Don said to me, Victoria's not getting the coverage, and I understood exactly what he was talking about as I'd watched the convoy on ABC News leave Western Australia, heading for the drought-affected areas of Queensland, New South Wales and South Australia, and Victoria was not mentioned. So we've got an issue of not understanding how severe this situation is in the public domain. We need to get it out there, and we need our state government on board to support us desperately at this point in time. Thank you, Councillor Holt, for your motion. Most appreciated. Good job. Indeed you have.
The only thing I'd like to add, and you touched on it briefly, I was going to acknowledge the wonderful work that our Economic Development Department is doing and has been doing, and I'd like to, from this council, commend them and ask if our thoughts, in the event that this motion is passed, and I hope it will be passed unanimously, will be conveyed to them and tell them that we appreciate what they're doing and thank them very much.
And from memory, I think we did pass it unanimously. We have, yeah. It's okay. Given that, we're going to move on to item A8, receiving of petitions or joint letters. Item A8.1, outstanding petitions, none, CEO. Item A8.2, receipt of petition, installation of street lights, Colville Road, Port Albert. Councillor Stevens.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'm happy to move that Council receive the attached petition in relation to the installation of street light at Colville Street, Port Albert.
Thank you, Councillor Stevens. Do we have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Marr. And I understand that we have someone in the gallery who'd like to speak to this motion. So if you'd like to come forward to the lectern, state your name and you have 3 minutes to address this matter for us.
Albert and live in Colville Street and built a lovely new home there. Feel a bit humbled after Councillor Holt's plea for the farming community, but nevertheless a light is required. On behalf of the residents of Colville Street, we took up the petition and we thank the Council for considering our submission for the one street light. We would also like Council to note there is an existing electricity pole in the centre of the street which may be suitable for attaching a street light with a solar panel. Therefore, cost savings may be available to Council. I know they've got lots of important work to do. Colville Street is probably the most well-maintained street in Port Albert, with residents maintaining their homes in the nature strips with pride and landscaping. It is a beautiful street and it's a lovely place to live. There are now 7 homes in the street, with 2 being built in the last 12 months. One of them was ours, and there are 2 blocks of lands for sale and 1 under current interest, so there may well be. I have to say too, most of us are over 60, probably most of us are over 70, so a light would be help for that reason as well. It's not the reason you would put one there, but safety is paramount. And to beat the sandflies, well known to the residents down in Port Albert, people tend to walk their dogs in the evenings, and as Colville Street has no footpaths and a gravel road, safety is an issue. In Colville Street there is a very busy B&B, with guests arriving at all times of the day and night, and they're the people we want in Port Albert to spend their money and keep local businesses alive and well. Without lighting, they often drive past and reverse back to find the B&B. When there's no moonlight, the street is very, very dark. There seems to be a precedent for lighting in that King Street in Port Albert has approximately 8 homes with 3 street lights, all with underground power. Council should also note that on a safety issue there is one permanent resident with an ongoing medical condition, making walking on uneven ground an issue without light, and given there are no pedestrian walking tracks or footpaths, a light would be great assistance to the safety of all in the street. Thank you, Council, for considering it.
Thank you very much. We have the motion. Is that motion opposed? If not, the motion is carried. Councillor Stevens, just to speak.
Yes, thank you very much, Mayor. Look, I'd just like to thank the petitioners for bringing this matter before Council. It has been an issue now for several years. I think when I first got elected to Council, I was approached about the street light, and I know that Councillor Maher and I did go down one night in the dark and have a look at the lighting situation around the northern parts of Port Albert.
That might be too much information, Councillor Stevens.
No. I think it was after. I think we'd been at some. I can't even remember what we were there for. We were at some meeting, I think. I can't even remember what the meeting was, but certainly I can attest to the fact that it's very dark in Colville Street on a dark midwinter's night, and so I look forward to seeing the report back in a couple of meetings' time. So thank you, Mayor. Thank you to the petitioners.
Thank you, Councillor Stevens, and to the petitioners. 70 is the new 50. Okay, do we have any invited addresses, presentations or acknowledgements? Any questions on notice? Given it's the beginning of the season, reports of delegates, I don't believe we have at the moment. Moving on then to officers' reports, item C1.1, December 2018 Council Performance Report. Someone to move that motion? Councillor Hole.
I'm going to move that Council receive and note the December 2018 Council Performance Report as attached.
Do I have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Crosley. Is that motion opposed? If not, the motion is carried. Councillor Hole.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, look, another good report, and shows why Wellington Council is a great place in which to live, work, play, invest and raise a family. And other councils try to copy. The financial report, first off, that came up into the report that we got, show that whilst we are looking there with a tidy surplus, a lot of that is money that has come through from government grants and sitting there and to be used as we do the works around the Shire. So the impact, probably next time we get the report, there will be a lot less money sitting in there. Some of the building works that have commenced is for Yarram and Gormandale, and also the Gordon Street Hayfield lighting projects. And works are underway for the Maffra Recreation Reserve drainage and the Baldwin Recreation Reserve change room development. Some of the other little highlights that have come from the report is that the Port of Sale Wellington Centre was selected to host in December 2019 a two-day seminar which will be attended by library CEOs, directors and coordinators from 40 municipal and regional Victorian libraries. And these meetings are held at a regional centre only once a year. One of the highlights in December just past was Esso's Night at the Opera, and that was enjoyed by a full house at the Wedge. And we do thank Esso for putting that show on. And I think from memory it's every second year they've been doing all that wonderful cast, and it's thoroughly enjoyed. The heat has certainly made the swimming pools throughout the Shire to be used, and it's nice to see that the operating hours have been extended to accommodate for the kids, particularly during the school holidays, and that has gone down in a strong way within our areas where the 6 pools are located. One of the things that I think people should be aware of is our urban paths plan. It's now out for comment, and we'd love to hear until the end of February the opportunity that people take to give us their ideas. There is I know quite a bit of talk as people who have looked at it tell other people. So we will look forward to interesting comments at the end of it. I know we've been surrounded by bushfires for the last fortnight or 3 weeks, and in our shire it's been the best fire prevention result that we've ever had. There were 296 properties that were directed to clean up, and all of them except for 38 have cleaned their property up and reduced the fire risk. And one of the other things that is out now is the amendment C103, and in December Council resolved to commence the amendment C103 planning scheme amendment, which proposes to rezone land adjacent to the West Sale Airport for industrial purposes. So we're moving ahead with growth and development. It's exciting times for Wellington, and we look forward to the next quarterly report showing how much further we have developed.
Thanks, Councillor Hole. Moving on to item C1.2, nomination of Municipal Association of Victoria Board candidate for the Gippsland region. Councillor Stevens.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'll take my glasses off, I can read. That Council nominate Councillor Malcolm Hole as the Gippsland region candidate for the Municipal Association of Victoria's board elections.
Do I have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Ripper. I'd make an assumption that Councillor Hole, you're going to accept that nomination? Yeah. Is that motion opposed? If not, the motion is carried. Councillor Stevens.
Yes, thank you very much, Mayor. Councillor Hole has been the representative of Gippsland on the MAV board as a regional member for 4 years or 4 terms? 4 years. And obviously he's been very dedicated to representing Gippsland. I think he's done an excellent job as our representative, and so I'm sure that we wish him all the very best, because obviously he has to be elected by the Gippsland members to actually be our regional rep. But I hope that we can, yes, but in supporting his nomination, I'm sure that he'll find favour with the rest of Gippsland and will continue to do a wonderful job of serving us on the MAV board, because it's quite an onerous task. I know he has to get up at some ungodly hour and find his way to Melbourne and then back again. So it's even that. I take my hat off to him for even taking the travel. So good luck, Councillor Hole, for the election.
Yeah, good luck, Malcolm, and thank you, Councillor Stevens. Item C 2.1, Assembly of Councillors. Councillor Bye.
Thanks, Mayor. I move the Council note and receive the attached Assembly of Councillor records for the period 12th of December 2018 to the 30th of January 2019.
Do I have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Crosley. Is that motion opposed? If not, the motion is carried. Councillor Bye. Moving on. Item C 2.2, approval of revised Audit and Risk Committee charter and terms of reference. Councillor Stevens.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'm happy to move that Council approve the revised charter, terms and reference and list of duties and responsibilities of Council's Audit and Risk Committee as detailed in the attached document.
Do I have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Ripper. Is that motion opposed? Not, the motion is carried. Councillor Stevens.
Yes, I think it's fairly self-explanatory, with just a minor change to our charter, Mayor, and probably doesn't need any further elaboration. It's highlighted in the attached document in red, and basically affects the number of members of a number of independent members that need to be at attendance at a meeting of the committee. Thanks,
Councillor Stevens. Moving on again in the same vein, item C 2.3, Audit and Risk Committee minutes. Councillor Stevens again.
Thank you very much. I didn't even have time to turn my microphone off, Mayor. I'm happy to move that Council receive and note the minutes in brief, attachment 1, and the confidential attachment at item F 1.1, Audit and Risk Committee minutes of the 28th of November 2018, and item 2 as listed in the Council agenda, Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Stevens. Do we have a seconder for that motion? Councillor By. Is that motion opposed? If not, the motion is carried. Councillor Stevens?
Yes, thank you very much, Mayor. Basically, obviously, the Audit and Risk Committee, of course, is very important to overview the matters in relation to management and to deal with both the external auditor and our internal auditor, and to review internal audit reports, look at a whole range of other matters in relation to risk, which is a very important aspect of our management in this day and age, look at all other matters relating to insurance and claims and follow up on those. And I think the Audit and Risk Committee, of course, has 3 independent members, very highly qualified members, and a couple of old councillors who attend the meeting too, Mayor. And we, I think, cover a whole range of subjects and topics, and I think the committee is doing a really good job to overview all those matters that have been delegated to it. Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you. Moving on to item C 4.1, Bruce Street Yarram Special Charge Scheme, intention to declare. Councillor Marr.
I move that Council commence the statutory process under the Local Government Act 1989, the Act, to declare a special charge scheme for the purposes of constructing Bruce Street Yarram between CH 100 and CH 230, the construction works being for the provision of pavement sealing and minor ancillary works. 2, that Council, in accordance with sections 163(1)A and 163(b)(3) of the Act, directs that a public notice be given in the Gippsland Times and Yarram Standard newspapers of the intention of Council to declare the scheme at its ordinary meeting to be held on 16th of April 2019, in accordance with the proposed declaration of Special Charge Scheme number 1801 in the form of this resolution for the construction of Bruce Street, Yarram, between CH 100 and CH 230. And I'll move that Council appoint 3 councillors, which are Councillor Stevens, Councillor By, and myself, Councillor Marr, with the alternative representative as Councillor Crosley, to form the Bruce Street Special Charge Scheme Submissions Committee that is established by Council under section 2231(1)(bi) of the Act to consider written submissions, objections, and to hear any persons who in their written submissions under section 223 of the Act have requested that they are heard in support of their submissions, and the rest is read.
Thanks, Councillor Marr. Do I have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Stevens. Is that motion opposed? The motion is carried. Councillor Marr.
Bruce Street is a street, as advised, located in Yarram. It is comprised of sealed and unsealed sections of the road, with a curb and channel that is currently in a poor condition. Construction works proposed include the sealing of the road pavement, removal of trees that are currently causing a bit of an issue to the curb and channelling, replacement of trees, driveway laybacks, and installation of footpath crossings. The benefits will certainly see an improvement of drainage and the road surfacing, as well as improved access to and from the road by the individual property owners, as well as a definite reduction of dust. There was a public meeting held with the residents, and there was also a letter forwarded which received 80% response with a 100% approval. So this is a great thing for Bruce Street, and I know that the residents will certainly enjoy the benefits that this brings. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Marr. Moving on to item C 4.2, Industrial Road Special Charge Scheme Final Cost Certificate. Councillor Marr, you're back up again.
I'd like to move that Council adopt the final cost certificate for the Industrial Road Special Charge Scheme, Street Construction Scheme, scheme number 1701 attached to this report, and that Council officers prepare the final apportionment amounts due from property owners for the scheme based on the final cost certificate for the Industrial Road Special Charge Construction Scheme.
Seconder for that motion, Councillor Crosley. Is that motion opposed? If not, the motion is carried. Councillor Marr.
This is a good news report. The contract was awarded under delegation to East Gippsland Road Maintenance Proprietary Limited. A comprehensive consultation process, as detailed, was undertaken. The total estimated cost was 120,000 K. However, the overall final cost produced a 42.7% saving, which is a fabulous outcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item C 4.3, environmental upgrade agreements. Councillor Crosley.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that in accordance with the provision of Section 181 of the Local Government Act 1989 Council, 1. Offer commercial businesses within the Wellington Shire an environmental upgrade agreement program commencing in March 2019. 2. Appoint the Sustainable Melbourne Fund to administer and support the delivery of environmental upgrade agreements. 3. Delegate to the Chief Executive Officer the power to enter into an environmental upgrade agreement on behalf of the Council. And 4. Delegate to the Chief Executive Officer the power to declare the levy an environmental upgrade charge to participating properties.
Do I have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Ripper. Is that motion opposed? If not, the motion is carried. Councillor Crosley.
Thank you. This is a very exciting development, and certainly it was really, I really got excited when we were presented this by representatives of the Sustainable Melbourne Fund and the opportunities that this gives our community. Certainly, if you see in the background there, that unlike other financing opportunities to improve and upgrade either water, electricity or waste efficiencies, there's usually been needed a 50% or a 40% or a 60% contribution before they've got support to actually go ahead with these sort of changes. But with this, it's 100% of the project cost is being able to be financed through this system. So this is something that's been available in 20 other councils have utilised this system since 2015, and it really enables something that has been a gap, where it's been enabling people that are renting their premises, and that's quite often the case with businesses, that they are renters of the property, and it enables them through the rate system to pay off over time these changes that not only reduce their carbon footprint but reduce their ongoing costs, which is really critical, and certainly a point that we know all businesses are finding difficulty. So it really is an opportunity for both the owners of the commercial property to value add, and also the tenants to reduce their costs and get an overall community benefit with the reduced carbon footprint. So there will be opportunities. We'll be seeing this promoted so that our community, this is the first shout out to actually those to be involved and engaged. We as the council are sort of not the middleman, we are the way of how the funds are getting paid back to the Sustainable Melbourne Fund. So they'll be contracting with that fund with finances and banks to actually get this outcome. So a great opportunity for our business sector, and I do hope people seriously consider this opportunity and take it up.
Thanks, Councillor Crosley. As you say, a great opportunity. Moving on to item C 5.1, Gippsland Art Gallery Advisory Group minutes. Councillor Rossetti.
Thanks, Mayor. I move the Council receive the minutes of the Gippsland Art Gallery Advisory Group meeting held on 3rd December 2018.
Is seconder for that motion? Councillor Bai. Is that motion opposed? Not, the motion is carried. Okay, we're done. Moving on to item C 5.2, the Briagolong Recreation Reserve Committee of Management minutes. Councillor Ripper.
Thank you, Mayor. Move that Council receive the minutes from the Briagolong Rec Reserve Committee of Management's general meeting held on the 10th of December 2018.
Do I have a seconder for that motion? I think it was Councillor Marr by just a fraction. Is that motion opposed? That motion opposed? Not the motion's carried. Councillor Ripper.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to let you know that the tenders have been let for the upgrade of the pavilion out at Briagolong, and that's going to be something that's going to be very good for the community out there. And also, prior to Christmas, MasterChef did a filming out there, which was well received by the community, and congratulations to the very hard-working committee who set the oval and all the surrounds up. Was absolutely immaculate. The feedback I got from all concerned, i.e. MasterChef and all those that attended, was fantastic. So just goes to show a small town and a not long advance notice, but everyone rolled their sleeves up very high, got in, got the job done, and apparently it's going to be in May on television, so you can watch out for that. So thank you to everyone concerned for that. Great teamwork.
Thanks, Councillor Ripper, and congratulations to the community again in regard to that initiative. So we move on to item C5.3, Maffra Recreation Reserve Committee of Management minutes, and I think it's you again, Councillor Ripper.
Thank you, Mayor. Move the Council receive the minutes from the Maffra Recreational Reserve Committee of Management General Meeting held on the 5th of November 2018.
Second of that motion, Councillor Hole. Is that motion opposed? If not, the motion is carried. Councillor Ripper.
Thank you, Mayor. Now, the Recreation Reserve at Maffra is having some drainage works completed. They are well into the work at the moment, so that is going to be an absolute great thing for drainage, which was a little bit of an issue prior to the work commencing. So that's starting to look good, and once again the committee have worked hard to get that organised, so that will augur well for the community and surrounding districts. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Ripper. Item C5.4, Gordon Street Recreation Reserve Committee of Management minutes. Councillor Hole.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I'm going to move the Council receive the minutes from the Gordon Street Reserve Recreation Committee of Management's General Meeting held on the 12th of November 2018.
Second of that motion, Councillor Crosley, I think that was. Is that motion opposed? If not, the motion's carried. Councillor Hole.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. The minutes reflect the good work that's been done by that committee. It comprises about 9 different organisations or groups who work together as a team and their master plan allocate the order of preference of which they'd like things to be done. But a couple of things that have risen that are causing a little bit of concern is, and one that's up there, is the 40% that the committee has to find to pay for the security railing and the extension of the standing area that should have been there when the new building was put up. And for some reason it's been classified as maintenance rather than capital works, and I think that's something that we're going to need to have a look at. And the other thing is, and it has been raised here before, is the condition of the mower and the fact that it's a capital item, and the committee, with all due respect to the hundreds of hours that they volunteer, just don't have the money to be able to buy a new mower. And so I would hope that we'll look at that in the near future.
Thanks, Councillor Hole. Item C5.5, Briagolong Recreation Reserve Committee of Management membership. Councillor Ripper.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd move that Council appoint the nominated member as detailed in the attached confidential report to the Briagolong Recreation Reserve Committee of Management pursuant to the provisions of Section 86 of the Local Government Act 1989. 2. The information contained in the confidential attachment item F1.2 Briagolong Recreation Reserve membership of the Council meeting agenda designated under Section 77 Clause 2C of the Local Government Act 1989 as confidential by the General Manager, Community and Culture on the 24th of January 2019. because it relates to the following grounds under section 89(2) of the Local Government Act 1989. H, any other matter which the council or special committee considers would prejudice the council or any person be designated confidential information under section 77, clause 2b of the Local Government Act 1989, except that once this recommendation has been adopted, the name of the successful member can be made public.
Do I have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Marr. Is that motion opposed? If not, the motion is carried. Councillor, would you speak to that?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. This is just filling a position on the committee, and as I said before, what the committee have done in the past and what they will do in the future is teamwork, teamwork, teamwork with all the relevant users of the ground. We have cricket, we have tennis, we have a pony club, etc. And I haven't missed any out. No, I don't want cricket, yes, tennis, junior football, yes, junior football. Don't want to miss any of them out. That they all work there together on that oval for their individual sports. So I'm just looking forward to them all working together as a great team for Briagolong and district. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Ripper. CEO, do we have any matters of urgent business? Any further, any chat room comments? This is an opportunity if anyone from the gallery wishes to address council. If you'd like to do that, you can come forward to the lectern, state your name, and you have 3 minutes to address council.
Thank you very much. I normally need more than 3 minutes, but anyway, I'll cut it short. My name is John Colville, and I'm a Maffra Coopers Crescent residential homeowner. Appreciate the opportunity to bring Coopers Crescent road surface to the attention of council, and I thank you for your time. I had a phone call yesterday from Wellington Council's Sam Pye, who called me yesterday to inform me and my wife, a little bit nervous at the moment, but I'll relax, just to inform my wife and myself that the Coopers Crescent was on the top of a revised plan, which I believed supersedes the 2014 residential road street construction plan. Not really sure about all of that, but that was the message. Apparently the revised plan is yet to be reviewed and approved by council. I believe the design and the costing for the plan has been completed and awaiting a council approval. Again, not sure about all of that. Anyway, Sam's call has given us hope that the project can be finally achieved. January 1989 was the first time that I wrote to council regarding the lack of infrastructure in Coopers Crescent. The response was not favourable at that time. Since then, and on behalf of other residents, I've continued to pursue a satisfactory outcome, which hasn't happened. Maintenance to the Crescent via CARS requests are and will continue to cost the council money. However, we are very grateful for the efforts that go in by the people that come up and resurface the road. So, like I said, I've continued to pursue that. My wife and I, including other residents, are frustrated with the winter and the summer conditions, basically, of the 70 metres of road. For example, it's unsafe, it's slippery and it's mushy in winter, even with the coating that they put on it, or the gravel, the loose gravel that's on it. And in summer it becomes a dust bowl, and it's absolutely unbearable when the winds come up. So we have a lot of traffic in Coopers Crescent, believe it or not, even though it's a dead-end street or a crescent. As well as there's a lot of older residents live in the Crescent as well who walk up and down the street. 2014 looked promising with the release of the street construction plan. Unfortunately, we had some residents who were not overly interested in participating because they believed that they'd been paying their rates and they should have had a road all the time. And the plan was on hold. However, this didn't stop our efforts to have something done. So in 2018, Council advised me that Coopers Crescent was not included within the 5-year implementation program. That was a bit heartbreaking, and that the project would not be proactively pursued by Council. If, however, there was a high degree, say 70% support for the residents, from the residents, then the project would escalate in priority. So, as of now, there are 4 new property owners in Coopers Crescent. The one person that I have spoken to, that I know of, that has moved in, agrees that the court is in a poor state and requires a bitumen surface, curb and channel, etc. I've yet to identify the other 3 new property owners, and once I've achieved that, I will again approach the residents and inform them of the plan. Hopefully I can do this with the help from Council. I look forward to being kept informed, working with Council and property owners, and I'm confident that the only unsealed street in the township of Maffra will be of a standard that ratepayers can be proud of. I thank you.
Thank you very much, and perhaps Mr Hasty will catch up with you and have a discussion finally. So thank you very much. Is there anyone else who wishes to address Council today? If not, just a couple of things we should deal with briefly, and just to acknowledge now the Wellington Shire Australia Day recipients, and if I can remember them, it was Laurie Smythe, Tilly Corman, and the Stratford Sister Cities group, and the Centenary of Flight from Yarram. Hey? Oh, that wasn't bad. I got 3/4 of that from memory. So at my age, that's something like a miracle. And also to acknowledge that that tomorrow would be the 100th birthday of the late John Leslie OBE. And I think Councillor Crossley, would you like to say a few words in regard to John?
Thank you, Mayor. And also, through the Chair, to congratulate all the other recipients around the community that received honours on Australia Day. And particularly one that is near and dear to us, which was Beth Ripper, who received for her community work and the work for the environment, of which have been many years, and she was also the first female mayor of the Wellington Shire. So she has actually a whole lot of strings to her bow, so we congratulate her on a very personal note. She certainly was the one that tapped me on the shoulder to say, join the happy throng of running for local government. I'm not sure whether I should thank her or not now. But on to John Leslie. John Leslie, as you know, OBE, and he was the only freeman of the city of Sale. He's been an extraordinarily generous person, but in a whole range of areas to our community, and through his foundation, his legacy lives on. And it'll be a very joyous occasion tomorrow to celebrate his 100th birthday. And other people can witness some of the contributions that he still makes, in that there will be an exhibition of some of the artworks that he bequeathed in his will to the collection of the Gippsland Art Gallery, and even an insight into his own work, as he was a keen amateur painter as well, particularly in the natural environment. So there'll be some of his personal works up in the gallery as well in that exhibition. So it's a significant date to a significant father of our community. And as I say, many of our facilities, and this one that we're standing in now with the art gallery and the library, was part of his generosity of some $1 million. So we continue to be in his largest, I suggest. So it'll be a lovely thing to celebrate his 100th birthday. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Crossley. And can I acknowledge the presence of James Griffiths in the gallery today, a member of the Access and Inclusion Committee. So Chair, in fact. So thank you for being here, and I hope you've enjoyed the proceedings as they are. Could I just go back to the Australia Day recipients again? And it was interesting that Wellington's youngsters in the year, Tilly Corban, did I get that right, was overwhelmed during Australia Day and paid great tribute to her grandmother, Beth Ripper, on that day. So it was incredibly moving moment for all of us. And before I close, I think we need to move into into closed session. Could I just acknowledge the effort, the work over a fairly difficult January period for our staff in regard to the issues of not only the drought, which we've talked about, but also in regard to the bushfire emergencies we faced, to Sharon Houlihan and her crew, who've done an outstanding job during that period. We're incredibly grateful to all of the emergency services who have supported our community so well. Again, a huge thank you. And to my councillor colleagues who gave me the opportunity to catch up with my older brother in Perth during that emergency by covering some of those public sessions. Again, I'm grateful for your support. So I think that's it for me, and I think it's probably over to you, Councillor Stevens.
Yes, thank you very much, Mayor. I would just like to move that the meeting be closed to the public pursuant to Section 89(2) of the Local Government Act to consider A, personnel matters.
Seconder for that motion, Councillor Ripper. That motion is not opposed. The motion is carried. Thank you very much. Thank you to the members of the gallery for being here today.